Everyday English Podcast
by English Talking Today.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to English Talking Today. I'm Mary, and I'm joined as always by the one and only Stephen.
Mary, always a pleasure to be here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Stephen. I'm feeling really energized. You know, ready to talk about something big.
I can feel it. There's a buzz in the air. So, for our listeners who are tuning in for the first time, English Talking Today is all about having these slow, real-life conversations. We want to help you guys not just learn English, but use it. To feel it, to speak with real emotion, not just textbook drills. And today, we're talking about something that I think everyone, everywhere, deals with.
Absolutely. Today, we're tackling the invisible wall we all build around ourselves. We're talking about the one and only, the dreaded, the comforting comfort zone.
The comfort zone. What a name. It sounds so nice, right? Oh, I'm just in my comfort zone. It sounds like a cozy blanket on a cold day.
Exactly. But it's not a cozy blanket. It's more like a prison where your potential goes to sleep. It's that place where you say, someday I'll learn that skill. Someday I'll travel to that country. Someday I'll speak English without feeling so nervous. And that someday never comes.
That's the real trap, isn't it? The belief that there will be a perfect time, a perfect moment when you'll feel ready. But in reality, you never feel 100% ready. You just have to do it. You have to take that first step, even if it feels a little wobbly.
It's so true. I think our brain is wired to keep us safe. It's an evolutionary thing. Our ancestors needed to be cautious. But in today's world, that same wiring can hold us back. It tells us, don't try that new thing. It might be hard. You might fail. Stay here where it's familiar.
And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to share our real stories of what happens when you quit your comfort zone. Because we've all been there. We've all had to push ourselves to do things that scared us a little bit.
So, let's start with you, Stephen. Can you share a time in your life when you felt like you had to really step outside of your comfort zone?
Oh man, I can think of a few. But one of the biggest ones was probably when I decided to move to a new country. I had a job I was comfortable with, a nice apartment, and a good group of friends. My life was easy. It was predictable. And part of me knew that I was just going through the motions.
So you were on autopilot, you mean?
Exactly. It was autopilot. I was comfortable, but I wasn't growing. I felt like I was just doing the same thing every day. And I had this feeling deep down that there was more for me out there. But the idea of leaving everything was terrifying.
I can imagine. Leaving behind your support system, your routine, that's a massive leap. What was the fear specifically? Was it the fear of not finding a job? Or the fear of being lonely?
All of the above. The fear of failure was huge. What if I moved and it was a mistake? What if I couldn't find a new job? Or what if I couldn't make new friends? But the biggest fear, I think, was the fear of the unknown. I had no idea what was waiting for me, and my brain was doing everything it could to talk me out of it. It would say things like, "It's too risky. You'll regret it. Just stay where you are. You're fine."
That's the classic inner monologue, right? The one that tries to convince you to play it safe. So, what was the turning point for you? What made you finally decide to book that ticket?
It was a conversation with a friend, actually. I was complaining to him about how I felt stuck, how I wanted more from my life, but was too scared to do anything about it. And he just looked at me and said, "Stephen, You're a creature of habit. You'll find a way to make it work wherever you are. But you'll never know unless you try. And that was it. It just clicked. I realized that my biggest regret wouldn't be failing. It would be never even trying.
Wow, that's a powerful moment. And what happened when you made the move? Was it as scary as you thought?
Oh, it was even scarier at first. The first few months were tough. I had moments of pure panic. I felt lonely. I had to learn a whole new city and a new culture. But bit by bit, I started building a new life. And I learned things about myself that I never would have discovered if I had stayed in my comfort zone. I became more resilient, more adaptable. I learned to trust my instincts. It was the best decision I've ever made.
See, that's the beautiful part. The growth. When you're comfortable, you don't have to solve problems. You don't have to be creative. But when you're forced to, you realize how capable you are.
Absolutely. And it's not just about big things like moving to a new country. It's about the small daily acts of courage, too. Like for me, as an introvert, the thought of speaking in public used to be my worst nightmare. My palms would get sweaty just thinking about it.
So, what was the small step you took to get over that?
I started with things that were low stakes. I forced myself to raise my hand in meetings and ask a question, even if my voice was shaking a little bit. Then I moved on to offering to give a short presentation at work. The first time, it was awful. My mind went blank. I stumbled over my words. But each time got a little bit easier. And now, while I'm still an introvert, I can get up in front of a group and share my ideas without that overwhelming fear.
That's so relatable. For me, one of my big comfort zone challenges was starting this podcast.
Yeah, I remember.
I love talking and I love teaching. But the idea of putting myself out there on YouTube, of being a public figure in any way, shape, or form, it was terrifying. I was so worried about what people would think. What if my English wasn't perfect? What if I made a mistake? What if nobody listened?
But look at you now. You did it. What was the thing that finally pushed you over the edge?
I had a conversation with a mentor who told me something simple but profound. She said, "Mary, your goal isn't to be perfect. Your goal is to be helpful. There are people out there who need your voice, who need your style of teaching. Your fear of being judged is less important than their need to learn." And that really shifted my perspective. I stopped focusing on my own insecurities and started focusing on the value I could provide.
That's the mindset shift right there. You stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about the bigger purpose. And I think that's the key to all of this. Finding a why that is bigger than your fear.
Yes. So for our listeners out there, maybe your comfort zone is speaking English. Maybe you're a pro at writing and reading, but when it comes to having a conversation, you freeze up. Our message to you today is find your why. Why do you want to speak English fluently? Is it to travel? To get a better job? To connect with more people? Whatever it is, hold on to that why.
And then take one small step today. Just one. Maybe it's listening to this podcast and repeating a few of the sentences out loud. Maybe it's commenting on a social media post in English. Maybe it's having a 2-minute conversation with a language partner. Don't wait for someday. Do it today.
That's a perfect note to end on. Because the only way to build confidence is by taking action. And that action, even if it's a tiny step, will put a crack in that invisible wall of your comfort zone.
It's like working out a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger you get, the more you realize that the world outside your comfort zone isn't so scary after all.
Well said, Stephen. Thank you for that incredible conversation. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in. We hope this episode inspires you to get out there and push your boundaries.
Absolutely. Don't let your potential go to sleep. Wake it up and get ready to grow. We'll see you all next time on English Talking Today. But before we are going to end this section, I would like to ask Laura help us to break down vocabulary that we use today.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the vocabulary breakdown section of English Talking Today. My name is Laura, and I'm here to help you unlock the natural English that Mary and Stephen used in today's episode. This isn't school. This is about helping you sound more like a native speaker. Let's dive in. Our first word today is tackling. First, tackling. This is a verb that means to deal with or handle a problem or a difficult situation. It's a great, strong word to use instead of just talking about. Example, Mary and Stephen are tackling the difficult topic of the comfort zone. Another example, the government is trying to tackle the problem of climate change. Second, going through the motions. This is a great idiom. It means to do something in a mechanical or routine way without a lot of thought or enthusiasm. You're doing the actions, but your heart isn't in it. Example, Stephen felt like he was just going through the motions at his old job. Another example, he was so tired he was just going through the motions during the meeting. Third, on autopilot. This is a fantastic idiom that means you are doing something automatically without conscious thought or effort. It's similar to going through the motions. Example, my brain was on autopilot during the lecture because I was so bored. Another example, when I'm driving to work, I feel like I'm on autopilot because I've done it so many times. Fourth, a massive leap. This is a phrase used to describe a very big, significant change or action. Leap means jump, so you can imagine a huge jump. Example, moving to a new country was a massive leap for Stephen. Another example, getting a promotion and becoming the team leader was a massive leap for her career. Fifth, inner monologue. This refers to the silent conversation or thoughts that you have with yourself in your mind. We all have one. Example, Stephen's inner monologue was trying to convince him to stay in his comfort zone. Another example, my inner monologue was telling me I could do it. Sixth, turning point. This is a noun that describes the moment in a situation or a story when an important change or decision is made. Example, the conversation with his friend was the turning point for Stephen. Another example, the meeting with the CEO was a major turning point for the company. Seventh, stumbled over my words. This is a phrasal verb. It means to speak in a hesitant or confused way, often making mistakes. Example, when I gave my first presentation, I was so nervous that I stumbled over my words. Another example, she stumbled over her words during the interview. Eighth, pushed you over the edge. This idiom means to cause someone to act or make a decision, especially after they have been hesitant for a long time. Example, the conversation with her mentor pushed Mary over the edge to start the podcast. Another example, the bad review from his boss finally pushed him over the edge to quit his job. Ninth, shifted my perspective. This is a great phrase that means to change the way you think about something. Example, Mary's mentor helped her shift her perspective from her own fear to helping others. Another example, reading that book shifted my perspective on money. 10th, level up. This is a very common modern phrasal verb, especially in gaming culture, that means to advance to a higher and more skilled level. Example: the podcast is designed to help you level up your English skills. Another example: he's been working hard to level up his cooking skills. And that's it for today's vocabulary breakdown. I hope these words and phrases help you feel more confident and natural when you speak English. Don't be afraid to try using them in your own conversations. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.